We're delighted to be here at the ABP Demo Farm for our open day today. This year was a relatively good year. We had no huge swings in weather conditions really. Now it was unsettled alright, but them big swings in temperatures was what really does the harm. So we reared 406 calves and we only lost 3, so we had a good year. What we decided to do this year was to treat the last calf as if it was the first calf really. So as regards post-weaning management, they were all treated the same. So they were on average 45 days off milk before they went to grass, whereas traditionally the last 2 calves are always out to grass as quick as they can come off milk really. It was a tough year. Now there's no point in saying otherwise. We were late going to grass, as late as we've ever been, I'd say. Heifers in the shed for feed now at the minute we're 10 kilos back on last year and 20 kilos back on their comrades 2 years ago. I think we'll get it made up, yeah. I think we will get it made up. I hope so, anyway. The first cattle will be drafted for slaughter in the next 2 weeks, I'd imagine. They're only in for 3 weeks at the minute, so they're only getting warm.
We've a variation of breeds. We've limousines, we've Angus, we've Shorthorns and we've Herefords. So just to go through the cattle, the 6 animals there, to look at the eye, most of them you'd say there's an adequate fat cover on them, but when you assess the animals individually, they're not all fit to kill, so we'll be explaining to the farmers, giving our advice on what we think the best thing to do with these cattle to get the full potential out of them. The ideal carcass weight for us coming in is somewhere between 270 and 380 kilo carcass, probably an O plus or minus carcass. That's the ideal. I know we've heavier and lighter than that, but that's what our ideal carcass. After the year we're after having this year, getting the carcass weights up to the minimum of that is going to be an issue because the weather hasn't suited and cattle haven't done as well with the late spring and so on, and probably an extra bit of meal will have to be fed to achieve that. And I suppose on fat scores, we'll have a demonstration here in a while just on different cuts of meat and why we want a fat score of a 3 equals 3 plus 4 minus, not lower or not higher than that, and we'll show with the cuts of meat we have here behind us, we'll show why that is.
Today I'm going to be talking about the housing period for cattle, coming up with nutrition strategies to get over this winter. Looking back on the last 12 months, it's been quite a challenging period for growing cattle with poor weather conditions, poor grass quality. As a knock-on, we have cattle coming into housing this year that are back on weights, and basically how to approach that and how to target certain groups of cattle for silage quality, for different levels of concentration, different levels of feed protein. On cattle live weights, we would see live weights are back on a lot of cattle coming shed. Cattle that are going for finish are starting off on the back foot, 15 upwards to 40 or 50 kilos back on live weight the previous years. We see weanlings that are coming off of grass at this stage. They're probably looking 10 to 15 kilos back on other years, and that's really been down to cold winds, harsh weather for the whole of the grazing season, and very, very kind of stop-start grass supply. It's very important to target your ration towards your silage quality. So the silage analysis that's coming through this year is very up and down. It's very hit and miss. We have some very good examples of silage and some extremely poor examples of silage. To target your ration towards your silage type, so feed protein is going to be very, very important when it comes to growing young cattle on poor quality silage, whereas getting a high energy diet, high cereal content in the finishing stock on a moderate quality silage is going to be important.
My name's Liam Carroll. I'm from Blackwater Vets in Ballivor. I'm a large animal vet. Down here at the ABP Demo Farm today. I suppose having a little talk about getting farmers winter ready, Joe, in terms of what they have to do in terms of vaccines, dosing, for different groups of stock, bearing in mind withdrawal periods and getting the best bang for their buck in terms of what product they're going to be using while dosing or vaccinating their cattle. Have your preparation done. Do you know what I mean? There's no use going in, and I don't want to be walking into a shed with 30 sick weanlings and with a big fire brigade job and you're spending a couple of £100 on vaccines at that stage anyway, because you'd have to do it, and then antibiotic treatment and then ill thrift and maybe lose an animal or two. By taking proactive steps now, farmers are going to avoid trouble when they house cattle. Do you know, because often the weather can change quite quickly at the end of October, start of November, and lads can get caught not having cattle dosed and vaccinated correctly. So you'd want to be taking steps kind of at this stage that everything's in place for if you have to house cattle quickly, things are organised. The big thing is talk to your vet, you know, because your vet will know your farm, the problems you have, and maybe if there's certain problems in your area. Do you know what I mean? So that's essential. And plus, if you're going to need help, like hopefully your vet's going to be there on the end of the phone to provide it if something does go a little bit awry. It's all about an individual vet talking with their individual client and establishing a plan that's going to work for both parties.